What is going on, and welcome to the very first edition, I guess, of the weekly podcasts. I told you that they would be up on Tuesdays and Fridays, and we are remaining true to that. However, I also did tell you that it would be uploaded on Tuesday, but I would film it on Monday because I had more time on Monday, which is still true. But I did not do that yesterday. Yes, so today I'm actually recording this on Tuesday, and that's simply because, well, Ben Roethlisberger, he had his last game last night in Heinz Field, and I kind of wanted to wait a little bit just so I could talk about Ben Roethlisberger to start off the show. Ben Roethlisberger, if you don't know, won a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh. He's been there for, I believe, 18 years. He's been a staple into Pittsburgh. Obviously, like the last 3 or 4 years, he's been on the decline. And technically, he didn't say that he's retiring from football, more so that he won't be in Pittsburgh, which still might or might not be true. Um, he definitely did make it seem that way last night. But Ben Roethlisberger, hell of a career, long career, 18 years. For about a good 4 or 5 years, there was points in where he was one of the best QBs in the league. He was one of the best QBs in the league. He has a Super Bowl to prove it. He's been up and down the AFC. He's definitely been one of the best to do it. And Mike Tomlin, congrats to Mike Tomlin as well. He finished off his 15th season in a row without a losing record, and that's a lot of credit of that can go to Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger had a lot of the greats. He's had a lot of great players around him. He had Le'Veon Bell at one point. He had Antonio Brown at one point. Obviously, now he kind of doesn't. He has Juju. He has James Washington, Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's great, but I mean, he's played with a lot of good players. He's definitely done his thing. He's one of the best to do it. He played with Richard Mendenhall. Oh, an Illinois guy, Richard Mendenhall. But yeah, he's been there for a while. He took a lap around the field afterwards in Heinz Field, said his farewell, gave everybody high fives on his way out. Picture perfect ending to a career, if you ask me. Is it officially his ending of his career? No. But he said he doesn't plan on playing in Pittsburgh next year, whatever that might mean, whether it's retirement or actually just being done with football, who knows. But it was a great moment. It low key was sad for me. I've never been a big Ben Roethlisberger guy outside of the years I had him on fantasy football when he was actually still good. I've never been really that big of a Ben Roethlisberger guy, but it was still a little bit sad, watching Ben Roethlisberger walk around with all the media around him giving high fives to everybody. So definitely shout out to Ben Roethlisberger, shout out to Mike Tomlin, the Steelers once again not having another losing season for the 15th year in a row. Big congratulations to them. But let's talk about some stuff that really matters in the NFL. Let's talk about a team that they wear orange, but they don't wear Illinois orange. They actually just clinched themselves the AFC. AFC. I'm not sure which AFC they're in, to be honest. AFC South, I'm going to say, but it's probably wrong. Um, but the Bengals, they just clinched their playoff spot. The AFC North. Wow. The AFC North. But they just clinched their playoff spot. Huge game from Joe Burrow. Hurt his knee at the end. I don't believe he's going to play next week. There's no reason for him to play next week. They've already clinched. They're good. They're great. They can go in there into the playoffs with Joe Burrow, with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, with Tyler Boyd, with Joe Mixon. Um, and they can do their thing. They can run the table. That offense is one of the best offenses in the league right now. And I will stand by that statement. I will stand by that statement. They have 3 receivers on that team that are top 15 receivers in the league if Tyler Boyd's on his stuff. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase right now are top 15 receivers in the league. Tyler Boyd, he fluctuates in between. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. But very good stuff from them. CJ Uzama, he's been solid for him. Joe Mixon, like I said, has been solid for him. That offensive line's been solid for him. Joe Burrow's been getting the work done for him. The defense has held up. They've done their thing. Joe Burrow, like I said it on Twitter, he is an MVP candidate. You might not want to believe me. You might not want to look at it. This team is going to be serious in 2 to 3 years. This team looks this good right now with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow being as young as they are. Imagine how they're going to look when both of them are playing for contracts. Imagine how they're going to look when they've had 2 or 3 playoff runs in. They are dangerous. They are very, very dangerous. A team that I would look out for in the playoffs, a team I don't want to run into the playoffs. At this point, I believe the Bengals are one of the teams to watch out for. I believe on the NFC side of things, it's probably still going to be the Buccaneers. As many people want to say the Patriots, as many times as people want to say Brady hasn't looked great, which is wrong because he literally leads the league in a lot of different statistics. At the end of the day, you're playing Tom Brady in the playoffs. You're more than likely not winning unless you have some heroics like Eli Manning or something like that. And Aaron Rodgers is somebody that he doesn't really give you heroics. You might want to sit there and argue, oh, wow, he's actually a lot better than you're giving him credit for. Not really. He's a very heavy stat pattern. That defense, I don't know how they're going to hold up against Tom Brady in a playoff game when Tom Brady is refusing to lose. So the Bengals, they could be running into potentially the Buccaneers. Bengals still, they have a tough road ahead. The AFC is a lot more difficult over the road. I think the NFC is pretty much simple. Let's see the Packers or the Buccaneers. In the AFC though, you got the Bills, you got the Chiefs, you got the Titans. You got a lot of teams that I think could make runs. The Colts even I think could make a run if Jonathan Taylor's doing what he's doing in the regular season into the postseason. I think they got a legitimate shot. I don't know if they're going to be a Super Bowl team, but they could easily be an AFC Championship team going up against one of those teams. The AFC is going to be a very, very tough road to the Super Bowl. Because when I look at the AFC right now, the Titans, they're number 1. The Chiefs are number 2. The Chargers are 7. The Chargers, I think, could give anybody in the playoffs some run. The Bengals, they're 3rd. The Colts are 6th. The Bills, they're 4th. The Patriots are 5th. The Patriots are the one that I believe has the least amount of shot this year. I do not believe in Mac Jones being a playoff guy. I think Mac Jones is a good quarterback. I believe that the Patriots are very good. They're a well-coached team. Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches to ever do it. But I do not believe that they are ready yet. I don't think the Patriots are one of the teams that you got to worry about in the playoffs. Whereas the Chargers, you can make an argument. Justin Herbert's that guy. Austin Eckler, he's that guy. Mike Williams has been amazing this season. You had Keenan Allen there. You got Donald Parham, who's been playing well as of late. You have a lot of weapons on that Chargers team and an explosive QB to do things. We could be sitting here, we could be looking at a Bengals-Chargers matchup. We could be sitting here and we could be looking at a Bengals-Chiefs matchup down the line. We could be looking at a Bills-Chiefs matchup. This AFC is going to be a dogfight. And then you look at the NFC, the Packers. They're the only other team outside of the Buccaneers I think has a chance. The Rams, I don't see making it. They're the 2nd seed. The 7th seed is the Eagles. I don't think they have a chance. The 3rd seed, the Buccaneers, like I said, I think they're the favorites right now. The 6th seed is the 49ers. I don't think they have a chance with Jimmy Garoppolo. Or Trey Lance, whichever one they end up playing in the playoffs, I don't think they have a chance. The Cowboys, I give them the slightest bit of chance possible. They are a good team. They've been good this year. Trevon Diggs has been very good and very bad at points. He actually is the only player in the NFL right now to have anybody get over 1,000 yards receiving over the course of the season on him, but he also has the most interceptions, so it's a double-edged sword with Trevon Diggs. Dak Prescott, he's been up and down. He's been great, and he's been okay. I don't think they have what it takes to be a Super Bowl team. The Cardinals, a lot of teams were saying the Cardinals, they're the favorites. They're the favorites. Ever since that Chicago game, they have not looked good. They've been squeezing along the path. And I don't think they're as good as people think they are. And I don't think they're a Super Bowl caliber team. And obviously, there's teams in the race. The Raiders are in the race. The Raiders could beat the Chargers, and they could be in it. I believe the Steelers are in the race. Who else we got in the NFC? We got the Saints in the race. I don't think that the Vikings can't make it. They cannot make it. They're done. But the Saints are the one team in the NFC that could change things up. So to have a solidified spot to be a 2 seed right now, or a 3 seed or whatever it is for the Bengals, that's huge. That is huge. Because I don't think that they're winning a Super Bowl this year. But to give Jamar Chase and to give Joe Burrow and to give T. Higgins and to give Joe Mixon and to give Tyler Boyd all that experience in the playoffs in at least a game, I think they get past at least one round and at least have one win under the belt, so they're getting 2 playoff games. That high pressure situation, I believe that they can and they will be a threat down the line. So shout out to the Bengals. Jamar Chase obviously is now eclipsed the Bengals single game record in receiving yards. He went insane. I believe at like 260 something yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Burrow had 5 touchdowns. I actually went from the Bears game. At the end of the Bears game, I tuned into this before I went to the store because I needed to get food for the week. And I didn't want to leave. I was like, you know what? This Bengals game is close, and the Bengals pulled it off. They pulled it off against the Chiefs. And that was a beautiful, beautiful game. It was awesome. Very, very good stuff. Less exciting news in the NFL, though. We have Robert Quinn. Had to give Robert Quinn some love. Bears guy. He now holds the single-season Chicago Bears record, and for a day, he was the NFL leader in sacks. Until TJ Watt last night got 4 sacks and now has 21.5, and he needs one more to hold the NFL record. Can't have anything nice in Chicago, can we? So TJ Watt and Robert Quinn both make history for their teams. TJ Watt is going to be making history for the league if he can get one more sack and eclipse Michael Strahan. I think it's definitely possible. TJ Watt has been on a tear this year. No disrespect to TJ Watt. I just wanted one of my guys, Robert Quinn, to have at least lead the league in something. At least we win this league in something, but I'll take number 2. Robert Quinn went from 3 sacks last year to 18 this year. Huge turnaround. Love my boy Robert Quinn. Shout out to him. And let's go bear down, even though we got one more game left. Hopefully we can win. Devalue that Giants pick a little bit more. And the last thing I want to talk about in the NFL, I kind of mentioned it with the Bucks, but I didn't really mention the player. Antonio Brown walked off the field. He didn't just walk off the field. Him and Mike Evans, I don't really necessarily know what happened. I heard a rumor that something was told along the lines that Antonio Brown said he was injured, and Bruce Arians said, well, if you're injured, just go back to the locker room. Or something along that nature. Or something like he didn't want to pull him from the game, so Antonio Brown Mike Evans was trying to calm him down, and he ripped off his jersey, he ripped off his pads, he ripped off his undershirt, he took off his gloves, threw him into the crowd, walked straight across the field, giving up the peace sign. And I've actually talked about this and already once today in my coaching class. I'm taking a coaching class, which I think is very good so far. But it was interesting to see what Antonio Brown did. I think initially you look at Antonio Brown and you're like, what is he doing? He is selfish. He is this. He is that. He's making bad decisions. He's a drama queen, all that. I want you to slow down. This isn't the first time that it's happened with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown has had outbursts in the past. He's found a way off the Raiders. He was kicked off after after one game of being on the Patriots the first time he was with Brady. He basically forced his way out of Pittsburgh. Went on his way out. He was calling Juju Smith-Schuster Boo Boo Smith, which is it wrong? Necessarily, probably not. But he's definitely not somebody that's been quiet. He's not been somebody that hasn't been newsworthy. And one of the things that I want you to remember is this guy, he's done this more than once. I don't necessarily think you need to sit out there and necessarily say these things, because I think there's much more to it than just being self-centered. I think there's something actually wrong with Antonio Brown. In all seriousness, Bill Cowher, I believe, said it. We need to get this guy help. We need to get this guy help because this isn't the first time that it's happened with Antonio Brown. The guy clearly has something wrong. Whether it's a CTE sort of thing, whether it's whatever, um, I don't know. I'm not a medical professional, but the NFL needs to get this guy help. Do I think he holds a place in the NFL? I don't know. Out of everybody, the person that's given him the most opportunities is Tom Brady. Nobody wanted him the first time around. Brady picked him. Well, Brady convinced them to pick him up in New England. Nobody wanted him. Raiders ended up getting him. They released him, and then he ended up on the Bucks because of Brady once again. Because of Brady. So it's definitely something that's kind of weird to look at because it's kind of like you're biting the hand that feeds you. It's kind of like you're biting the hand that feeds you because there's no reason, at least when you think about it logically, without regarding mental health, it is very self-centered. It is very dumb of you to join a team with a player that is vouching for you and getting you a position that a lot of teams weren't willing to give you. And instead of being thankful and grateful for him, as soon as you're losing, you walk off the field and leave that player high and dry. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. But I don't necessarily believe that was the intention behind it. I believe that there is something else wrong. And I'm hoping the NFL can figure out how to help Antonio Brown be less sporadic in his actions. Because that is no joke. If that is something that we have to seriously be concerned about. Because to the fan, it looks like he just rage quit. But there has to be more to it than just that. There has to be. There has to be more to it. He made a show out of it. There has to be more. And it's the NFL's responsibility to whatever happens or whatever. I don't think fining him or suspending him is the right action to be taken right now. But you need to get him help, or at least figure out what is going on with Antonio Brown. How can we best serve Antonio and make sure that he is going to be okay going forward? Hopefully that is what the NFL does. And now let's switch it over to basketball. Basketball, we have a lot to talk about. In about 30 minutes, my Fighting Illini are going to be playing a basketball game against Minnesota. However, we did have a very, very good New Year's. Because on New Year's Eve, while we're sitting around, we're waiting for that ball to drop, everybody's tuned in to the Bulls game. And what happens against the Bulls and the Pacers? They're down. DeMar DeRozan gets the rebound. Well, Kobe White gets the rebound. Passes it to Vooch. Vooch gives it to DeMar DeRozan. 4 seconds remaining. DeMar's dribbling. He's dribbling. 1 second remaining. DeMar shoots. And it's good. On New Year's Eve. Everybody going crazy. MVP. DeMar DeRozan. What happens the next night in Washington? Kyle Kuzma, with 5 seconds left, hits a three. We take the ball back down. DeMar DeRozan, timeout. DeMar DeRozan catches the ball in the corner, pump fake, gets the guy to jump, gets another guy, hits it over him as the clock expires 2 nights in a row. The first time in NBA history that has happened for anybody to do 2 nights in a row, 2 buzzer beaters in a row, to win the game. DeMar DeRozan has had an MVP caliber season. He was the player of the week twice in December. I don't know how he did not win December Player of the Month. It was Joel Embiid, who statistically, outside of rebounds, was very comparable to DeMar DeRozan. And Joel Embiid, I believe, played like 12 games. He was 9-3 or something like that. DeMar was 8-0. The only thing that I can think of that possibly hindered DeMar is they only played 8 games in December. What's that matter? He was the best player in December. The best player. By far. MVP Demar Derozan. I think it is a legitimate thing. Do I think he's going to win MVP? No, but I do believe he is going to be in the consideration in the top 5 for MVP come the end of the year if he stays on track. And as long as nothing crazy happens, as long as he's doing what he's doing right now and he can maintain that, I believe he could even end up top 3 behind Curry and possibly LeBron. LeBron is another guy we got to talk about in the NBA before we conclude this podcast, the very first one. And LeBron, unfortunately, I don't really want to talk about LeBron, but LeBron's been insane, like literally insane. Let me go to his stats, and this might have changed since he did play. Yeah, he played on the second, but I'm not really going to count that. But before the second, he scored 31 on December 19th against Chicago, 34 against Phoenix on the 21st, 36 on the 23rd against the Spurs, 39 against the Nets on the 25th, 32 against the Rockets on the 28th, 37 against the Grizzlies on the 29th, 43 against Portland on the 31st, and then 26. So, like, literally the last 2 weeks, LeBron's been dominating. And you know how much I don't like giving LeBron his flowers, but you got to give LeBron his flowers. You got to. The man was averaging damn near 30-something a game in December. And somehow, I don't even believe he was Player of the Month in the West. I really don't think he was. I think it was Donovan Mitchell. Let's see if I can pull it up. NBA. Yeah, it was Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell over the course averaged 30 points as well. But LeBron was going insane. Now the team sucks. The Lakers are terrible. Russell Westbrook needs to be traded. I don't really know what else you could do outside of trade Russell Westbrook because I believe a lot of the problems that they have are problems that you can't fix within the year. Because you need to go get a grinder. You need to go get a hustler. You got to go get a guy like a Caruso that's not going to be available at deadline. I can't think of a guy like a Jay Crowder. I feel like would be really good there, but he plays a similar position as LeBron, so you need a guard like a Patrick Beverly. But I don't really know how you get that in the middle of the year. I don't know how you get that because I don't see one of those guys getting traded. Think about it. Desmond Bane could have been on that team. They passed on Desmond Bane. That would have been great for him. But their team's just very oddly constructed. It isn't a championship team. As exciting as it is to watch the Lakers because they're not good and they have all these names and they're still not good, it's just sad, to be honest. But anyways, thank you all for watching the very first episode, edition, whatever you want to call it, of the weekly podcasts. We talked about a little bit of the NFL, what happened this weekend. We talked a little bit about the NBA, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about on Friday. Big week of sports just behind us. We got the NFL playoffs coming on up. We have the NBA All-Star Game coming on up. So this is going to be a very good place for you to be if you're into sports and you want to hear what's going on and you want to hear my opinions and thoughts and just overall what's going on in the sports world right now. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Let me know down below what you thought about some of the things I talked about, whether it's LeBron James, DeMar DeRozan, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Robert Quinn, TJ Watt, whatever you want to talk about down below. Tell me what you're thinking. But thank you guys for watching.